And just to reaffirm the weirdness of Vern, who I've been married to for 39 freaking years, day in, day out, he is notorious for leaving a tissue in his pockets. So he does his own laundry. I don't wash his laundry with mine. And this he saved for me. It was on the floor, and to him it looks like an angel. Okay? So he left this for me and believes that God sanctions that it's okay to leave tissue in your pants, and this was my sign. My septic tank would vehemently disagree, but he left me an angel of tissue that made it through the washer.
It's a sign from God.
A sign from God.
Yes,
okay.
we are blessed.
Bless. Thank you, Vern. I have topped that ham bone with water. Add carrots, some thyme, some garlic, one of my stock bags, and added some celery. So I'm going to bring that to a boil and then let it simmer for several hours. It's easy peasy, it's just ham stock. It ain't hard. In an anti-Southern movement last night, my husband decided to, before going to bed, to take my leafy green collards and put them in the refrigerator, making them kind of dead. Okay, so this here is a mess of collard greens, a bunch. Not to be confused with mustard greens, so make sure you get you collards. It says it right there, collards, product of the USA. That's right. I prefer smaller collard greens, but remember we're still warm here. I grow my own collards, and they're very good if you let one frost get on them. Sometimes we get close to a frost here on the coast of South Carolina. Tends to make them sweeter, but what we're gonna do is devein, cut out this thick middle because it is bitter. So collards are great for you, of course, because they're a leafy green. They have a lot of fiber, but they've got vitamin K, which greatly helps to reduce inflammation. They are very easy to can. I'm not going to can them, I'm just going to make them. And 1/2 cup of collard greens is equivalent to 8 times the daily requirement of vitamin A, C, what's the other? Folate and beta carotene, just to name. There's 2 other ones and I can't remember because I'm 100 years old. But anyway, I'm a-fixing to wrestle these out of their rubber band. And collard greens are filthy. They grow like romaine lettuce out. Lots of dirt in there. So there's gonna be lots of water used to clean them up. That ain't hard washing stuff. Greetings. I know it's shocking how I just said I was not gonna can collard greens, right? However, I got confused Monday night canning friends, okay? I thought I was supposed to cook collards, and I only had 1 mess of collards because this is not the greatest collard time to get the smaller, they are more tender, they have a less strong taste, and you don't have to cook them as long. So what I've done is I'm putting a picture in from the Clemson Extension Service on how to can greens. So the first thing you're gonna do is wrestle them out of the bag. And you see how, let's cut it down a little. Right there. So these ends are fantastic to go in my compost pile. But I'm gonna trim these up, and then I'm gonna washy them. See, because my husband put them in the refrigerator. They made them get sad and yellow. That is so anti-Southern of him. I don't know what happened to that boy. His mom couldn't cook. He can cook. He just done lost his mind here. So, here is one long vein. Let me let you hear it. That thing is thick. So you trim all of these up. You can do it with your kitchen scissor if you want to, but this is quite bitter. I'm sure it's full of nutrients. It broke it, okay? But it is not good to try and make. We're cooking the collard. Get it? We're making collard greens. This is the green, right? So there is not much dirt on this. I'm very surprised. Usually there are. But I'm gonna fill my sink up with water, push them up and down in the water. I'm gonna drain that water, and then I'm just gonna run my little sprinkler part over each leaf, lay them on a towel to dry them. All that's going in this is an onion, some vinegar, some Tabasco, which of course is a vinegar product too. It's my favorite hot sauce, but I'm from Louisiana. And you could use a ham hock if you wanted to, or smoked turkey bits. I don't like to be at the table trying to work a bone, okay? We eat our barbecue ribs outside where everybody can, I don't want to do that with collard greens, okay? So I don't give nobody a bone to work, because that ham stock is going to be where the flavor comes from, but you can use your turkey stock or your chicken stock. Not necessarily some flavorless commercial or inexpensive commercial. If you use something with bouillon, you're going to get a lot of salt in there. Of course, my ham was salty, so I'm not going to add any salt. But I do have to add vinegar, and I have to add some sugar. So I'm going to get these cleaned, okay? And then we're going to trim them up. It's easy peasy. So I cut a large piece of the center out, but this one was a hidey hole. So you do have to spread them open so that I can cut right along this bitter, what I consider bitter center of a collard green. And the little part my husband made, put yellow, putting it in the refrigerator. It ain't bad, it's just not cute. And our food should be cute and good. Here is an ideal one that's laying open flat. And I cut on the wrong side, you can't mess it up. There's my leafy collard green. So you can imagine that my compost is gonna love getting this stuff. Oh yeah. So there's 2 huge leafy greens. These are the size that you get more when you're actually growing a true winter crop. They're smaller, they're more tender, and of course you need a truckload of them, but you can feel the difference. Oh, those are yummy. Now, interestingly enough, I love these, but I don't like mustard greens, so go figure that one out. So here's an easy one. It's wide open. The tip of your knife from that center all the way down doesn't require a very sharp knife. These are not tough. Collards, leafy greens, looky. I can give you an example of the stringiness. There you go. Kind of like celery. That's what I do not want in my mess of collard greens. Greens I have ever purchased, and I will not purchase them if they're not a product of the USA. And I am a mad washer of leafy greens. This is just a yard towel, I call it. I've got a huge bowl of the scraps for my compost pile, but these were incredibly clean. A lot of times as you're rinsing them, you'll see the grit in your sink. So even if something comes and it says pre-cleaned, I ain't believing it. I'm not rolling with it, and I'm certainly not gonna trust it to be cleaned in the black waters of China. I have a whole house reverse osmosis system. I know my water is safe and use a great deal of water. For those of you, many of you know this, when you grow your own things, potatoes, lettuces, that sort of thing, cleaning them. So I'm gonna let this dry a little bit, and then we're gonna roll them up into little strips and slice them. So you need a knife. You need a heavy bottomed pot, so I use my Magnolite. There is 1 onion rough chopped. I'm gonna put 2 cups of my ham stock that's just been strained through a cheesecloth. Now, we're going to start to line up, and I threw one on the floor. I saved it. Let's move this. Okay, so I'm gonna line up my leaves. That's a very young one right there. And now you're gonna roll them. And then you're gonna slice them so they're in a long strip. You do the same thing for canning them also. So we just unroll them. There they are. Get them in this pot. Let's line up some more. Got some big ones. And yes, they're wet, ain't gonna hurt nothing. But they ain't soaking wet, and they're clean, which is all that matters. Roll them. Doesn't matter which way. All right, I'm gonna fill this pot up and I'll bring you back. There's no magic to grabbing them and rolling them. It's not like a meat where you need to cut across the grain. So it doesn't matter which way you do it. Just grab them, get them in a roll that you can manage. Doesn't matter if they're big uns, little uns. I don't like that little ugly spot. You go live in a compost pile so you can grow me some collards next year. Just wrangle them up best you can. Could this be easier? Seriously. If you don't put them in the refrigerator, it's all fine. So we're over here at our super burner. We have to have these submerged in the liquid. So that was 2 cups of strained ham broth. This is 4, and we need to get them covered in this because that's what they're gonna cook in. So I'm gonna get them boiling, then I'm gonna put them on my other one, my other little burner, and let them simmer. So generally you do 3 or 4 messes of collards, or a bunch, as people call it incorrectly. So we need some more. May have nailed it with 6 cups. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Because they ain't our first collard rodeo. And these will cook down. I've done them in my large stock pots before with like 6 messes. And they cook down so quickly you end up putting them into a smaller pot. So let's get some sugar in here. It's just regular old coffee sugar. Some white vinegar. You can certainly use apple cider. And let me get my Tabasco. I prefer Tabasco, but you gotta have something. And Tabasco is a vinegar base. Oh, I love it. Oh, it smells so good. So I'm gonna bring these to a boil. Oh yeah, we got the right amount in there. Because what you've got is fiber here, right? They are flavorful, but it takes the vinegar to bring it out. It's why I don't like mustard greens. They're much more bitter, yet just as the same pretty much health benefits. So I'm gonna bring this to a boil. Then we're gonna simmer them about 30 minutes. But I have to take it off my super burner to do that. So, collard greens. It ain't rocket science, people. It's Southern cooking. Do not do like my husband who lost his Southern mind for a minute and decide before he goes to bed at 9:30 to stick them in the refrigerator, and they won't be so wilty. But their color is beautiful, and you don't have to worry about unrolling your little spirals. They're gonna unroll all by themselves. Collard greens, it's what we're doing. Get your Southern on. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm a mouse. Alrighty then, you'll hear my oven noise because I got my cornbread up in there because there ain't no collard greens without cornbread. So they've been sitting here. As you can see, there's a lot of steam coming off, so they did real well on simmer. So now we're gonna taste the liquid. And I know what you're thinking. How will I know if it's good? Because I ain't never had no collard greens. Well, first of all, it should taste good. And you go, do I want to dip my cornbread in that? If you do not, add a little more vinegar, add a little bit more sugar. I added garlic to it. There's our liquid. I'm gonna have to slurp it because it's so hot. Oh, good Lord. Oh, yeah. Holy crud. Okay, I just rocked the pure D mess out of that. So let's check on the texture of our collards. Nice. They're not too soft. I don't need anything super soft. Let's get a little plate. Let's do it right. All right, let's see how easy we can slide our spoon. Oh, very nice, very nice. Let's get a little piece. Oh gosh, those are perfect. I'm turning the heat off now. Oh, yeah. Rocked them, even though he put them in the refrigerator and killed some of them. Oh, good Lord. Mm-hmm. That is fabulous. Collard greens. Get you some. So this is how I eat my collard greens. I open myself one of my little triangles of cornbread, and then I go get me some collard greens with that pot liquor. That's right. Mm-hmm. Pouring it over it like an open-faced roast beef sandwich. So when you were looking for a chick to marry who cooks, or her family, and you go to their house, and they give you the collard green, like on the side of the meatloaf or something like that, these are not your people, okay? These are your people. People who understand that cornbread and collard greens is delicious. You can just eat the cornbread sopped in that pot liquor, and all your troubles go away, because the collard green is healing mentally and physically. That's right. You heard it right here. Good Lord Almighty. Mm-hmm. That is some good eating, with vitamins and minerals, as my daddy would say, jumping all over that plate. So I got to go, because I'm fixing to eat another thing of cornbread covered in that pot liquor, because I am a professional collard green eater, and I know how this rolls. Oh yeah.